Gypsy Hill Hunter Helles Lager.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've got one from the Gypsy Hill Brewery today. They are based in, they're based in Gypsy Hill, which is in South London. Bandit country, saw it off, give it to the French. That's what I think of South London. Anyway, I don't, no offence to anyone who's in South London. This is one of their core range beers. It's named after one of the fellas it's got a depiction of one of the fellas who works in the brewery there. They're a typical craft brewer. They do pilsners, lagers and IPAs. That is it really. Pale ales, New England's West Coast, East Coast, IPAs, etc. They do a lager and they do some specials as well. Typical craft brewer. I always look at craft brewers and I really like to taste their lager because that is the real test. Now, I'm not a brewer, so you can shoot me down in flames here if you want and say you know nothing about brewing, but I do think that the multitude of hops that they use in a lot of these IPAs does cover up a lot of sins, and a real test of a good brewer is to brew a lager, and it's a completely different process. You know, IPAs and etc. are all done at the top fermented. The lagers are bottom fermented. They're stored for a while, and it's all about the flavour. And I do compare them to the best lagers that are available, and of course they're from Germany. And I do like to see how they stand up against them. Occasionally, you do get the odd good one that really does stand out, and it does compare sort of with the German stuff. Most of the time, you just get very, very average tasting stuff, and you think, why? Well, I know why they bother, because, you know, if they're doing a tap room, not everyone likes IPAs. And lager is the go-to drink, and it's supremely sessionable, so that's why they do lagers. But, you know, Cloudwater, really good brewery. IPAs, they're fantastic at it. They do two lagers that I know of. One was the Pilsner. They did. That was just, again, you know, they just threw a load of American hops into it, and it tasted like a pale ale. And their Helles, which was this one. And in the words of Shania Twain, that really didn't impress me much. So, you know, I look at this as a test of how good a craft brewer is, on how they're doing their lagers. So, without further ado, let's investigate this beer. Right, it's 4.8%. It's a 330ml can. It doesn't give a brew sheet on the website, unfortunately. So I'm just going to have a quick look on here, whether it says what's in here or not. Yeah, it's just got a little bit about the brewery. This is Hunter, an uncompromising lager. All premium malts, all noble hops. Okay, now that's a good indication. If they're using noble hops, then that's a sign that they actually care about the lager that they're brewing. All noble hops, conditioned for 40 days. Yep, that will be your lagering, unfiltered, light bitterness, spicy, bready, and moorish. Well, that does sort of describe a decent lager, and they're calling it a Helles. So I'm going to compare it to the German stuff, because in my eyes, if you're going to call a beer a Helles, then I'm going to compare it to the German stuff. You know, a lot of people throw the word Helles around, and they throw the word Dunkel, etc. It's like a buzzword or a marketing gimmick, and a lot of the time it doesn't taste anything like a German beer. It just tastes like a very average beer. So I'm going to pull them up on that. If it sounds like I'm being harsh, I'm not being harsh. I'm I'm being critical, as a good critic should be. And that's how I judge these craft brewers who are doing the lagers. I'm going to, you know, if they say they're brewing a Helles, I'll compare it with a German Helles. If it's shit, I'll tell you it's shit. So let's see if this is any good. Right, get it over. Now I did have a can of this before, and soppy bollocks left it in the freezer because I was going to do a review of it. I don't know what happened, it must be my old age, but I was looking for it. I was sure I had a can of this stuff, and yeah, it was in the freezer, and of course it went bang, and there's still lager in there now. The fridge smells of beer. I really should scrape out all the ice, but not today. I'm just going to try this out. Now I've just serviced the wife's car, and I could absolutely murder a beer. I am fucking gagging for it. I think I've got more oil in the road than I did in the engine. I was trying to get the waste oil out, and I tipped it, and it just fucking went out a bit too quick, and there's a massive puddle of oil. I've had to cover it in sand. The neighbours are probably going to complain, but yeah, it is what it is. Well, there it is. Very carbonated head, not much in there. It says it's unfiltered, but that looks reasonably clear to me. You know, there's a very, very, very slight cloudy tinge to it. But, you know, I wouldn't say it's probably unfiltered, but, you know, my view of an unfiltered lager would be like a Keller beer. But it looks pretty decent. What are we getting on the nose? Yeah, it doesn't smell too bad actually. Quite spicy. Touch of lemon. But yeah, it does. I am getting that spicy black pepper aroma that you get from the noble hops, the decent noble hops. Doesn't say what malts they're using, but I'm assuming they're using Munich malts. Can't really get much of a malty aroma there. It's all about spice and lemon citrus. Oh, it does smell nice, I will say that. Let's get it down the hatch. Cheers. Dive in again. That's a little weird. I don't know whether it's me, but I'm getting like a almost Belgian-esque type yeasty flavour from it. Like a zesty lemon and a little touch of orange. I am getting the noble hops in there. There's a lovely lemon citrus with some spice on the top of it. But there's something else going on in there as well. The malt is quite nice too. But there's something going on with the yeast in this. It smells and tastes like there's a hint of Belgian blonde ale in this. It's like a herbal coriander type flavour, which could be coming from the hops. But all in all, this is not a bad effort. The mouthfeel, I mean, look at that carbonation. Have a look at that. That doesn't translate at all to the mouth. It's very, very smooth, which is nice. And it is quite Moorish, as they say. but it's got this Belgian, I don't know whether it's clove or something like that, but it's just it's putting me in mind of a Belgian blonde. Now that could be the hops, because they do use some noble hops in some of these Belgian blonde ales. But it's quite nice. All in all, it is not a bad effort, I have to say. I have tasted a hell of a lot worse. It's got the character, it's got the, the decent aromas. It does smell really nice. And it's putting me in mind of a beer from North Germany rather than a Bavarian. But there is a touch of sweet malt in there. And all in all, I have to say, this isn't a bad effort. So what's the verdict on Hunter Helles Lager? Yeah, this is one of the better ones. This is quite nice. Again, as I always say with these beers, the price is what's going to kill this off. There's a price tag of, I think it's £2.25 on here, and that is gonna, you're gonna have to compare these to, if you was in a supermarket and you saw this. I bought this online actually. I think this came from Noble Green. But you could look in a supermarket and you can get a bottle of Kronbacher, which is not Helles, that's a Pilsner, but that's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than this, and there's going to be 500ml. I think the only place that this is going to stand out is in the tap room, really, if you ever go to one of their tap rooms. I wouldn't pay £2.25 for this for a few of them. For example, I don't think these are in a supermarket, but if they were in a supermarket, even though I was buying online and I wanted to buy quite a few of these, I'd be going for the German stuff rather than this. So, you've got to weigh that up as well. But all in all, that is quite nice. It's not bad. I am going to give that, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because it is one of the better efforts and it is quite true to the style. There is I'm getting like a touch of Belgian notes, Belgian yeasty notes on that, but apart from that, everything else is in keeping with a German style Helles, and yeah, it's not bad. So I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. I'll recommend it if you want to pay £2.25 for a 330ml can of lager. I mean, that is up to you. But if you're flush and you want to try something from the Gypsy Hill Brewery, and lager's your thing, that's not bad. But it's just the price that's what's putting the wall up between me and this. And remember, beer is working class champagne.